Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got David Mahoney and we're going to be talking about Iran. We're going to be talking about Israel, how all this is biblical, the oil and Trump and, what's really going on, the backlash after that. We're going to talk about Jim Carrey, a lot of speculation as to whether he's a clone and whether is this the real Jim Carrey, what's going on there. And also we're going to talk about the revaluation of Iraq, and what's happening there with the global currency reset. Has this a lot to do? Does this have anything to do with the financial system as well? David, thank you so much for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to?
Hi, Nick. I missed the last one. I'm very well, buddy. What was it? I can't remember what I was doing. I was just probably tied up somewhere. I got late, but we missed the last episode on that last broadcast. So we got a month since I've really talked to you. I am exceptionally well, fit, healthy, strong. Sun's coming out back in Spain now after all the wet weather we had. You saw the floods and the villages being evacuated here. It's all true, but it wasn't as bad as that, as usual, mainstream media are talking about. We get flooded every year in Spain, but this year was this sort of area where I am as opposed to Valencia. So everybody, they're all back in these villages now. So thank you for everybody sending me well wishes and saying, is your family safe and well? That's the first thing, statistically, being involved in an incident, like when there's a shooting or an explosion near you, everybody seems to think it's literally, as soon as you open your front door, you're in the middle of it. I know people care, but statistically in being involved in that is very, very slim wherever you are in the world. But apart from that, Nick, I'm watching very closely over our last few chats. We've been talking about Iran because for some reason, Iranian people have always been very good pals of mine. I've always bumped into them. They'd be my dentists or my neighbors or friends and family. I've come to learn about and warm to these people over the last, I guess, 35 years. I've been bumping into them since I've been an adult. And I've never, ever had a bad experience with Iranian. They get such bad press. Always the crazy, we're about to kill you, blow something up. But what's been going on there now? There's forces of revolution afoot. And we've watched with great interest over the last 6 weeks, maybe a little bit more now, what has been happening. So Trump strikes, as he's been busy the last few days, have really made a huge impact on a lot of different things. So what I want to do with this, Nick, is I want to cover what's really going on, who's going to be affected by it, and what the long-term goal is here, and where do I see things going in the future?
Right.
So he took out the supreme leader, the Ayatollah. Now, I don't know if people know the full story because how he did it. It was basically a coordinated attack by using inside information, because between the Israelis and the Americans, they used some very clever tactics to get the job done. They actually had a satellite that was zooming in on his particular heat signature. That's how high-tech this shit goes, right? So 2 jets took off from Israel with these, what they call bunker buster weapons, these huge amount of high explosives in these ordnance that they use. So they sent a virus into the computer system of the Iranian air defense and took that out. So the Iranians had no eyes in the sky during this attack. Super clever, because it restricts the amount of lives that are going to be lost, okay? And then they took out their air defenses because they had inside information about exactly where the Ayatollah was. Now, if you remember a few weeks ago, Trump told the Iranians, he said, we're going to strike back. And what he did it was a little pokey. It's a little experiment to see where they all ran. Where did all the little pigs run home to? And this is how they knew exactly where they were and where to strike. So the bunker busters went in and took out, number one, the Ayatollah and his right-hand man, the other guy who was head of the defense force. So the 2 main players were taken out. When this was announced, all of the Iranians all around the world celebrated, Nick. This isn't somebody that was like loved and cuddled and worshipped by the people. Nobody likes the bearded bastard. He's just been a dictator, I think, for 37 years in there, keeping everybody hushed up in the house, keep your mouth shut. And, they've been restricted. You've got to understand that the culture of Persia goes back way beyond Muslim and Islam. They had Islam forced on them. They weren't ever like that, you know. Cyrus the Great was one of the greatest leaders of all time, and he was the original Persian king that gave the world human rights. And they were good friends with Israel. The whole of that Middle East, that whole area there was at peace for a long, long time because of the culture from ancient Babylonia, which is current day Persia or Iran, mixed with a little bit with Iraq too. That's all the area sort of blends into one, a little bit on the borders there. But they were a cultured, educated, amazing country. The beauty of Iran, you know, people don't know, but I do because I've been dying to go there for many years because I know how beautiful and the ancient ruins that are there. So now the whole country is in the middle of, I would call, a revolution. Trump's been calling on the National Guard and the police to say, listen, don't obstruct, let this all go out the way it's supposed to be played. So we know about that. That's not the debatable point. But the debatable point is what happens next, Mahoney, no? Mm-hmm. Are you getting a lot of questions? What's going to happen next? Well, the knock-on effect from this is going to be lasting, I think, at least a couple of weeks. Because, for example, Dubai got hit with some explosions. They were shooting down drones, and some of the debris fell on a hotel where there was a lot of tourists. And because of the amount of expats that are living in Dubai, they're all posting videos of this street burning and that building burning. And then the airport closed down. Something happened to the airport as well. Now, because of the proximity to Iran, I would imagine there are a lot of sleeper cells and pro-Ayatollah, is the dictatorship posted in these countries. We knew a few weeks ago there was a report that a private jet was flying into Dubai loaded with various forms of cash from different countries, euros, dollars, etc. And they were intercepted. But we know that there are several sleeper cells to cause deliberate chaos in these places. So during this time, these could have been small incendiary devices that have set off to make more noise than they did damage, it would seem to me. The Dubai government have posted saying it was not a drone. It was a part of a drone that fell on the hotel. Because their air defense forces, they've got these interceptor missiles as well that are able to shoot down missiles. They have very deep pockets, so their air defenses are pretty good. And also in Qatar, they hit some American bases as well, because the Americans are using all of these countries, their allies. If you know, Trump went straight out there as soon as he got elected, did his whole tour again, was given a warm welcome by these guys. They're all buddies. So it's very important strategically that Trump has these forward bases of operation, that he can use this to forward his base and forward his attack strikes and be able to respond swiftly with anything else. There were several incidences of retaliation around the world. The American embassy in Pakistan was attacked. There was quite a bit of scuffling and things burning and a few gunshots fired there. And also some other bases around the world were receiving, let's say, attention. Now, where are we going to go next? The forward knocking on effect of this is, for example, the airport's closed. One of my best friend's girlfriend, she's a Russian girl, went to see some friends for her 21st birthday, and she's stuck in Dubai now. Airport's closed till probably tomorrow, but it's going to take several days for the flights to get out of there. And the problem is that if you're coming in from Thailand or Malaysia or Singapore, most of these flights are coming back to Europe, Nick, all stop in either Qatar or Dubai. That's it. If you're on Emirates or Cathay Pacific, whatever that route is, that's the stop and that's the refueling station, because it's 8-9 hours from there and a further 8-9 hours, a little bit less maybe, back to Europe. So a lot of these flights have delayed. The knock-on effect has delayed flights and people and travelers. Hundreds of thousands of people have had a knock-on effect from this because of this situation there. So that's that. Yeah. We don't really know the facts because mainstream media are publishing whatever they want. People on the ground are saying, well, we don't understand. All we know that there's explosions.
So what is the mainstream media saying?
The mainstream media is saying it's under attack by Iran. That's what they're saying. But I don't believe that. I don't think it is a coordinated attack. I think it's something that's gone wrong. I think they've been sending missiles to U.S. bases, and it's probably flying over there, and they've shot them down too close to the city. Maybe if they'd left them alone, they would have bypassed the city and gone onto these FOBs, forward base of operation.
Is there any reason that mainstream media is using to say why Iran would hit down Dubai?
again, mainstream media is all pro-Israel, so they want Israel to look like the
The one that's not causing the trouble and Iran's attacking everyone.
That's not me. I didn't do it. They thought it us first. But there's also a lot of false flags. It could well be them shooting at themselves and saying it was Iran just to get the whole fight going. Who really is guilty of what there? It's probably still a bit cloudy. We won't get the truth out for a little while longer. It's going to take a bit longer. Now you've got the knock-on effect with the oil, because what it's called the Straits of Hormuz is where all the oil tankers come out from Iran. With their tankers, you've got the Saudi on one side, Iran on the other. It's a very narrow gap. And that flares up every couple of years. The Straits of Hormuz, it's called.
Wasn't Iran selling some oil or something to Venezuela?
Yeah, they had a structured deal in Venezuela. They were investing into their petroleum refineries, as was Russia, as has China. So this is another reason why these countries are very annoyed at Trump, because he's got in there and kind of kiboshed that. But I know, and I'll tell you this, I can talk about this now because it's over 10 years ago. The Americans have been training for this because I trained with them, Nick, and I know about this. They have a fast response team that can deploy at a moment's notice. And what they do is they parachute out the back in the Straits of Hormuz with fast response inflatable boats with electric engines. Now, it used to be outboard motors, but now I know it's electric. So they can control that entire area very, very quickly. Now, these U.S. Marines have been training for this, I know, for at least 12 years. And I can imagine the technology has moved on now. So if that kicks off and Iran tries to control that area, the Americans are going to respond and say, no, because they will have ships in the area. But the problem with that is the ships are a big, easy target if they can't control the airspace. We know that they've infiltrated their air defense system by using a hack spy bot, but this was passed on to the Israelis via a network of espionage that have been working inside Iran for a long, long time. You got to understand how far advanced. Like, if you think America's advanced with the technology of espionage and a network of communicational spies, Mossad is the king. America's just a little sort of studying under the king. The Israeli government are the best in the world at that. Espionage, spying, phones. I mean, they've done some crazy stuff. They released all of those pages in Palestine that all of the terrorists bought, and then they exploded the whole thing. Just pushed the button, took them all out. There was a lot of innocent people taken out as well, but majority of them, they're very clever the way these. Yeah.
So what's the backlash with all of this now? Is there going to be any backlash? Do you think? The other question I have is, if Trump can just get rid of, the leader of Iran and his family and the whole military people, why can't he do the same for Israel and Bibi Netanyahu?
Well, the problem is that Israel control the entire Congress, and people don't understand about that either. There's at least 60, I would say, last count, there's about 70% of the US Senate all hold a second passport that has got Israel stamped on the front of it. The US senators have been paid off years ago. This has been going on for donkey's years, Nick. Every single senator would have had something on them by Israel. Epstein was a honey trap. Epstein was the first that started putting all of this blackmailing material together so the Israeli government could control the American politics. It's all run by Israel. You think it's not? Look, the way Trump has been acting, he's all pro, he doesn't say anything about it. I know he doesn't like Netanyahu, but he has to follow what he's been led to do because Israel is so powerful. They've got dirt on everybody.
I think Trump is pretending, he's pretending that, he's letting Netanyahu think that he's leading him, but Trump is obviously disagreeing and buying time to maneuver at the correct strategic moment when he thinks it's safe to do so. But I don't believe that Trump is owned. Trump is playing his own. He plays his own, strategic game with the military.
Plays by his own rules. I agree. I think he's letting them believe that he's
independent.
He's letting them believe that, but ultimately, I think he's way more intelligent than people let on, and I think he plays it down a lot as well. He sort of plays it off being stupid.
No, he's not. He's very intelligent.
Yeah. So I think a lot of this is biblical as well, Nick, because we were both on the same page as far as our spiritual um, journey is. We've both become amplified, let's say, had a upgrade as far as the spiritual side of us. You, both of us, for different reasons at different timings, but we're both in the same sort of level. We both definitely have the same opinion on this. Now, they've always said Israel will be last. And the prophecy says that Iran will destroy Israel. So right now, the Iranian regime is a wounded animal. It's had a serious ass kicking. It's got its leg caught in a bear trap, and it's going to have to chew that leg off to get out of the bear trap. I think this is the most dangerous time when an animal is being hunted, when it's in that fight or flight mode. And I still think that they have capabilities that we're probably not aware of. Okay, most people would say, is this going to be a thermonuclear strike? I would imagine that that possibility is being removed now, because if they can't control their airspace, they won't have the launch codes. I don't think that's it. I think it'll be something different. I think it could be a secret satellite they have up there that either one of their allies is going to help them with, which would be China or Russia, something like that. The technology they have, again, we don't know what it is because it's so far beyond what we've been shared on the mainstream media, and certainly by a lot of the the dark web, etc. They're all talking about these weapons that they possess, these large military industrial complexes. Now what they have now, we've never heard of it before. So the Bible says it's going to be biblical, and Daniel states that the prince of Persia, which is Iran, withstood God for 21 days before Michael defeats him. So this is how we're talking about Archangel Michael. And Q had a Q drop back in 2019. I'm going to read it out here. It says, Q has always said it was going to be biblical. Q drop 2903 has big things happening over the next 21 days. The post is from February. Let me read this out there. It's going to be historic, planned long ago. Within the next 21 days, big things happening are going to take place. So the strange thing about the biblical side of things, Nick, is the Israelis have been following the teachings, because we need to go into the second coming, the return of Jesus they're talking about. Now, he has to come in through a specific gate. They have to slaughter a red cow. They've got to burn the cow into ash. They've got to get the ashes and get these high priests, and then they move everything to a different side, and they start rebuilding the Temple of Solomon. They've already started that. They selected the cows in America and exported them to Israel 2 years ago now. We know that they've already slaughtered it. We know that they've had the burning of this red calf and the ashes, and they have started to begin to rebuild the Temple of Solomon. I think it's from the East Gate.
And when do you think they'll be finished building it?
Oh, I think they're kind of just slowing things down a bit. But the Bible says that the Israelis will identify a person who they say is the second coming of Jesus, but it's not. It's a liar. And it takes about 6 years for people to understand that he's a liar and he's a deceiver, and he is not who he claims to be.
From a spiritual perspective, I actually think that, I actually think that whoever's going to take the throne of whoever's going to be, it's just going to be another leader, another dictatorship, another manipulator. I actually think that Jesus is not coming back. I think Christ consciousness is returning within us all through awakening, because we are all source embodied into human form, and we just need to remember who we are through awakening. And I think that I think that the split of Earth is a split of consciousness, is a split of frequency bandwidth, where you're not going to notice that you're on the new Earth, or you're not going to notice the shift. It's very, very, very gradual, and the people that are going onto the new Earth, or shifting into the new Earth through frequency and consciously, you're just going to experience a very gradual collapse of all the systems, which we're seeing right now. Epstein's coming out. Just people. You're just seeing the collapse of everything going on, and you're seeing the deep state being taken down slowly, piece by piece. And this is a cleanse that we're seeing. So, and this is how we know that we're seeing these events happen. We are on the trajectory of phasing into new Earth. What the
Yeah,
video?
I'm with you on that. Absolutely, Nick. I mean,
Funny how you said that they slowed down, building that temple. Things have slowed down because maybe slowing down is another indicator of collapse.
well, it's definitely something strange going on there because they are following what the Bible has predicted, and that's the basically tribulation is what they're talking about. And tribulation is not is. Do you know about that?
Yeah, tribulation, but again,
It's
it's all
horrible.
still, but it still falls under religious dogma structure.
Yeah, I agree. And you see, a lot of people's idea of hell would be to not have the internet. My idea with hell would just be stuck talking to someone who has nothing to talk about, or in a dark place with no laughter and fun. That would be my idea of hell. I could deal with all the other stuff and the explosions going on around me, all right. But my idea with hell would just be, being bored and not having any forward
See,
momentum.
my idea of hell is not having freedom, and right now we are in hell because we have the illusion of freedom, and heaven or paradise is a state of being consciously where you have universal freedom.
Yeah, but we are getting there step
Yeah.
by step, day by day. Now, there's been another little interesting thing about a Stargate.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know if you've been tracking this in Iran, because when the Americans went into Iraq, when Saddam was there, they had something of a Stargate nature. It was called Operation Looking Glass. There's also been mentioned of a Stargate in Iran, which they want and need. And that was one of the other reasons they decided, okay, listen, we got to go get it. Because these Stargates are an interdimensional portal. And in the wrong hands, they can be extremely destructive and absolutely cause mayhem. And if the black hats are trying to control this gateway to interdimensional portals, which you can have beings coming in and out of, and a lot of people in that field say, you know what, this is where the demons come from. They come from another dimension, using these interdimensional portals that they're coming through into our world and starting to interfere with our world. So that's been floating around as well, and a lot of the sort of psychics are talking about this. I haven't actually got into that. I'm going to try to get into that this week so I can talk about it on Friday. Do I believe that? I can feel that it's definitely a possibility. It's like the CERN system, whatever they're doing up in Switzerland. People have been videoing strange things in the skies and lights. It looks like an energy vortex portal that's coming out up there. So you never know what these dark sons of bitches are up to, Nick. As much as we live in the light, they love to create chaos, mayhem, that energy lack of everybody being terrified and scared again. Oh, here we go, World War III. The best thing to do is focus on yourself and focus on your family and stay in the energy of love and ignore it. Stop watching TV unless it's going to be knocking on your doorstep and you're getting parts of shot down drones crashing through your roof in the middle of your favorite soap opera. Ignore it, move on, use your intuition, ask God for some help, ask him to keep you safe and to give you some light on it. We'll share one video about the Middle East I've got. It's a graphic video, Nick, meaning it's not disturbing, meaning it's showing like cartoon style graphics.
Oh, not a violent graphics or
No,
yeah, I
no.
see what you mean.
Don't get freaked out. Let me find it. It's a nice little map and some airplanes flying around showing where everything has been going and what's been going on. If I remember, I've got the right one. There we go, this one. Let me go back and share that. So this kind of helps people understand what's been going on. There we go. Volume up. Let's see. I think I might need to refresh it because it played a little bit, but there we go. It's going to do that. Yep. Yeah. Here we go.
Iran now. Iran's constitution says 3 officials share power temporarily. The president, the chief justice, one guardian council cleric. But war is still ongoing. Iran's most powerful military force controls a $100 billion empire, answers to no elected official and no Western government. One name is surfacing. Ali Larijani controls defense, nuclear policy and regional strategy. What do you think? Are we moving towards world war? Who controls Iran now?
Who's going to control Iran now that the Ayatollah's gone? So that kind of explains what's possibly coming next is going to be a power struggle because there's always a void isn't there? There's a gap and they're taking it out. But I'm pretty sure Trump's already got his people in place. The new people that are going to come and take over, traditionally, they will already have them on the payroll, already on the team. They have the playbook in hand. They're just ready in the background. Put your shoes on. It's time to go to work, boys.
But even Trump has said before he did this, it's time for the Iranian people to take back their country, in a nutshell, to put it simply.
He's right. And for the sake of the audience that don't know the history of Iran, in the 70s, before the revolution came, 79, the revolution, when the Ayatollah Khomeini took over, it was miniskirts, ski resorts, beach resorts, nightclubs, discos, bars, cafes. Iran was an amazing place. If Iran had stayed like that was now, Dubai would never exist, because people would just go to Iran because it's got culture, ancient cities, ruins. It's a beautiful place. It's like Lebanon or like Jordan. It's been there forever. Dubai only exists realistically because Iran was not accessible. I mean, they've got the tax implications, and they've opened it up to business international. But you know what? How many people are not going to go to Dubai now? I think this is really going to affect Dubai, because if they're showing weakness like this, saying, hey, you know what? It is possible to get to us. We're not so defensible as we say. Dubai, to me, is absolutely no interest. I've been there several times. I don't even leave the airport, Nick. I've had meetings just outside. I've never even been downtown. Not interested.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
I don't like places that are just constructed. It's like going to the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas, when they say right outside the door here, you've got Venice. And I went out there and I said, well, it looks like a cheap copy of it to me. It's just not the same thing. There's no pigeon shit. You don't smell the sea.
Yeah.
I don't like newly created things that are copying old things. I like cobblestone streets, cafes. I like higgledy-piggledy. I like chaos. Go to a city like Rome. You know what? When you look down, it's like 4.5, 5 meters higher than the original Colosseum. They've had excavated. That's what I love about Spain. The culture, the history, and all of the ancient stuff around me. I don't like new things. I prefer old cars. I don't like new cars. So
you like history, you like heritage, you like character. You don't like fake cities, synthetic cities, and
no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You like a story, you like history, and I'm the same.
Yeah, you're Greek. You know what I mean? Ancient Greek. You're talking 5,000 years. It's the same. It's the same for all our backgrounds. All that ancient Viking blood that I've got. It's been mixed into the Irish side of things. I mean, it's very strong.
Even the ancient Greeks, for me, it all comes back. It was all learned and passed down from Atlantis 12,500 years ago. And that's what we like. We like beauty, real creativity, details, etc.
Yeah.
Let's talk about...
It's good for people, if they like it, they like it. I don't care. I'm not. It does not appeal to me. Plus the heat.
I can't take it either, I prefer a nice jacket with a croissant and a hot chocolate down New York.
No, you're talking.
Yeah.
No, you're talking, brother.
Let's talk about Jim Carrey now, because there's been a lot of speculation as to, his new appearance in the awards, where he picked up an award. He looked very different, and
shit.
The biggest thing that stood out to me was his energy. His energy was very flat. It was very low. It was very passive. It was very kind. And Jim Carrey is kind, but for me, the way I perceive Jim Carrey is he's got a lot of energy. He's very charismatic. There was no charismatic in this Jim Carrey. The eyebrows were off, as you can see in this picture. The eye color's different. It just looks very, you could say he's done some fillers and he's got a pillow face and he's grown his hair out. But when you look at his energy, everything is just different.
Yeah, there's something definitely weird going on here. Now, for the sake of the audience again, Jim Carrey was always very outspoken about his connections to the Freemasons. He was always doing the signs and the triangles. He was going on there and sticking his tongue out. And we all have come to know, covering up his eye. Now we've all come to know what the symbolism comes to represent, with what the Epstein files have showed us and what we've learned over the last 5 years about the trafficking and the flesh eating and all of this rituals that all these freaks and weirdos have been doing in positions of power at the top in the pop industry, in the acting industry, television, movies, as well as big business and politics, obviously. So all of a sudden, Jim Carrey, this has exploded in the last few days, this story, because he was on TV about a couple of weeks ago before this, Nick, and he had short hair. And now all of a sudden, this is him. So let's play this for the audience and let them be the...
I wrote it and I researched it and I practiced it like crazy, but you know, it's then I watched everybody like talking 1,000 miles an hour up there receiving their awards, and I was like, I'm dead. And I made mistakes, and I was like, you know, I wrote it and I researched it and I practiced it like crazy, but you know, it's then I watched everybody like talking 1,000 miles an hour up there receiving their awards.
The voice isn't bad, but look at the eyes and the brows, and he's got these big bulging cheekbones now.
I mean, it could be, the voice. There are a lot of people out there that can impersonate. And listen, I wouldn't even put it past. It could be even a clone, you know. But look at the eye color, completely two different eye colors. You know, very different eye. Even the eyebrows.
So, what happened to Jim Carrey? Has he been silenced and shut up and been replaced? Was he dark? Is that what's happened? Has he been taken to Guantanamo and he had his neck stretched, or a lethal injection? Or has he deliberately gone into hiding and now they're going to play this little trick to make sure everyone's questioning this again? Because since Joe Biden decided to take a little slow walk off the stage there, no one's talked about clone since, because he was in our face all the time, wasn't he? This is obviously clone. This isn't the real guy. 1 minute he's 6'6", the next minute he's 5'4". It was too much. So this new cloning, this new strange question opening book about a well-known celebrity that all of a sudden is extremely different looking, with different shape eyes, different colored eyes, his cheekbones, his hair's got long. What the hell is going on? Is it another one of these wake-up moments where people are in the lazy boy sofas, Nick, and they're going, what the hell is that?
I know. I just don't know what's going on there. It could be any of those reasons you mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But we do know that Jim Carrey spoke out a lot. Yeah. He's very charismatic. His energy is very difficult to mimic because he's very charismatic, very difficult to copy, I think. And this Jim Carrey just seems too flat. He's very flat and smooth and passive.
Like he's been sedated.
Yeah, he does.
Giving me some Valium. I've had some diazepam, and this is real nice over here. Look, a butterfly.
Yeah, and a lot of people are seeing this. You know, a lot of people can feel this in their intuition that something is not right here. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's more and more people that are talking to me. And, you know, one of the first things people say when they either email me or talk to me, say, I woke up on this date. They all have a date when they suddenly remember that, oh my, that was the moment. I call it the lazy boy moment, when you end up screaming at the television saying, that's a lie. That's a lie. You know, whether it's the Benghazi cover-up or 9/11 or Joe Biden's staggering around the place, or all these other weirdos that, you know, what about the inauguration when Biden was sworn in? It was a different day in California that day. And then it was out in Washington. They say it was filmed in D.C., but looked like it was filmed in California.
Yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
Everybody has these wake-up moments. What else we got on the list?
Right. So I want to talk about, obviously, we want to go a little bit back to Iran because, you know, there's a lot going on in the Middle East right now. And I want to tie this in with the revaluation of currencies, okay? Because this isn't just about Iraq revaluing their currencies. This is a reform of all of the world, you know, once the deep state's been taken out. And that's what Trump is doing. He's taking out the deep state, and we're heading for a new reform for these currency revaluations. What do you think about that?
I think we know it's going to happen. Look, if you talk about Iraq, well, actually, you don't even you want to go back and talk about Kuwait, because when Kuwait was invaded by Iraq back in the 1990, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Gulf War.
Yeah, the Gulf War. They took over Kuwait, and at the end of it, the money was revalued, and everybody made a lot of money out of it because they artificially pushed it down because the whole thing's a war zone, and now the economy's in the hands of a dictator. Yes, as usual. I think it's taking a lot longer for Iraq to get back on its feet, and I think there's several reasons there. One, all of this stuff going on right now is going to stabilize the Middle East eventually. This is the first part where they're cracking open the eggs to make the omelet, but the omelet's going to get made, because Iran was the instigator for all of these destabilizational processes, from ISIS up in Syria all the way down to bloody Chad. You know, they were funding all of these independent so-called liberating groups, the terrorist groups. It was all coming out of Iran. The whole country was controlling most of all of the bad stuff that was going on in that entire region. Okay, previous presidents have also been complicit with that, because they're all making money out of it. But Trump's like, no, we're not doing that shit anymore. I'm determined. Look what he did on his world tour. You know, who else went to North Korea and shook hands with that little guy? Only Trump did it. He went all around the world. He was very successful on his peace tours, what I called that. So once we get all of this crap out of the way, all of the first initial stirring of the waters all settles down, we get a new regime into Iran that's nice and democratic and calm. It'll stabilize the entire area. What's going to happen next? A pile of investment is going to come in from all over the world. People will want to set up factories. Can you imagine if you want to go to Iran right now with a load of cement and construction materials, a load of skilled laborers? You know, the tourism industry alone in Iran is going to blow the lid off the whole place. And then you've got all the patriotic Iranians that have been displaced for the last 37 years. You know, there's that many Iranians in Los Angeles. They call it Tehrangeles, Nick. There's that many Iranians there. They'll all pile back home. And all of these Iranians are very, very clever in business. They've got billions of dollars from what they've all been doing combined. It's all going to go back home. The first thing they'll do is go back. They'll take back the family homes. They'll go back and reclaim the lands, and all of that foreign investment will pile into Iran, because every single Iranian person said, it's beautiful, my country, but they cannot go back. So it's going to stabilize the whole area. Iraq's going to be next, because they're good buddies, they're neighbors. They need to be buddies. They've also got all of that oil. It also all flows out through the Straits of Hormuz. So I can't see any other way that it's going to be a pile of investment going on, because now it's safe to do it. Now it's safe.
Absolutely. And this is the wealth transfer, back to the people. And a lot of people have been asking me, where can I get Iraqi dinar? Where can I get these foreign currencies? Because they don't trade internationally. And it's illegal to sell Iraqi dinar outside of Iraq, according to the Iraqi government. So we work with a very reputable company that we've bought Iraqi dinars from. And I want to leave the link below in the description for anyone else that is looking for Iraqi dinars, where you can have access to them just from a click of a button on the description below. So that's there. But David, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, as always. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
I think just hang in there, guys. We have come through so much. All of this, the last 5-6 years, has been extremely confusing. We went through the whole COVID thing, then we went through the entire Trump thing and January 6th thing, and now it's this thing. But I think we're so close to the end now, Nick, of everything be stabilizing. There's going to be a huge sudden wave of peace in our lifetime. It might be another few years yet, but I'm really looking forward. As soon as I can get into Iran, I'm going straight away, because it's one of the countries, and Syria. I mean, I love to go to these countries that are a little bit edgy, but and Iraq's on there as well. I wanted to drive a motorcycle through all of these countries. That's my original plan, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm a little bit too old. My eyes are dodgy at night. So, but Nick, hold on. I want to ask you a couple of questions off camera before you shoot off. So, but if you want to find me, folks, you can find my work on Mahoney.tv. Will divert you to wherever you want to go. If you're in the UK, you can't use the BitChute, but you can certainly use Rumble. And then I've got a new channel on YouTube called Talking with Mahoney, and all my stuff is posted there. Some great stuff on there. More to come. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks. God's grace. Inshallah, I will be back in 2 weeks, Nick.
Exactly. All right, David. Well, thank you very much. And we'll speak again very soon. Bye-bye.
Hope it helps. Bye-bye.